This is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back on another very interesting topic on Vedic astrology. And today we'll be talking about the planet Venus and its related professions. So, as we know that career forms a very important part of our lives, and we are all very concerned as to what should be the right career. So, how we train yourself and get ready for that, or whether we need to change our careers, or some people are very happy in their careers and some people lead a very miserable life because they actually may be in the wrong career. So it becomes very imperative to understand our birth charts and to see whether we are planning a right career, that's one, or if we are in a career, are we in the right career? And if we're not in the right career, is no. It becomes very difficult, and we hate doing every single morning what we do, what we're supposed to do, and what we are doing to earn a living. So let's understand as to what Venus is in terms of the related professions related to the planet Venus. And of course, if you look at a career, there are several ways of looking at a career of a person in terms of looking at the 10th house, the 6th house, the 7th house, the Samsa chart, which is the D10 chart, or divisional chart, which is related specific to the career. And then there are other principles, Gemini principles, where Amatyakaraka is taken, what nakshatra the lord of the 10th house is, what nakshatra the Amatyakaraka is, where Amatyakaraka is placed in the Navamsha chart, where Amatyakaraka is placed in the main Rashi chart, what are the aspects, so on and so forth. And of course, there are others, very different techniques and tools to find out as to what would be the best profession. But we're not getting into that in this video. We're just getting into this video what are the related professions related to Venus. And in case we have determined that yes, Venus is a very important planet and it's connected to our area of profession or houses of profession, or it's an Amatyakaraka, or through the Navamsha chart or the Samsa chart, we can determine that yes, Venus is the planet which is directly related to the person's profession. Then what are the professions you as an astrologer can recommend that person, or what are the professions which they're already in? You can recommend them to, in case they're not happy with the present profession they are in, or the work type of work they're doing, what other areas they can go into. So Venus is directly related to speaking skills, just like Mercury is. So there's a slight overlap here. So one of the important professions one can undertake if Venus is related directly to his houses of career and profession is to be going into professions such as speaking, where speaking skills are required. And then one of the areas you very well know, it could become a TV artist, or could become a film artist, a film star. But then other factors also have to be taken into consideration. So for example, if he doesn't have that looks, or he doesn't have the charisma to attract people, although he has great speaking skills, you obviously cannot recommend him to go ahead and become a film star. Now, as far as religious teachers are concerned, they also have to be having good speaking skills. But then if you don't see any spiritual planets which are prominent in that birth chart, you cannot just, based on Venus, you cannot just go ahead and recommend go ahead and become a spiritual teacher. So the chart has to be seen and examined in totality before you can make a recommendation. But yes, I just wanted to kind of tell you that Venus has a direct relationship to great speaking skills, just like Mercury has. Although Mercury has a stronger, because Mercury is directly about communication, but that Venus also can make people charismatic speakers. So it can be storytellers, professional speakers. I know as the day and age advances in the modern days, I've noticed professional people getting into professional storytelling, and sometimes they don't have a charismatic face, so they do it behind the screen. So that's one area. Also, poetry. People with a strong Venus and can be good poets, but then again, it has to be related to the area of profession. In case you were to recommend poetry, become a poet, or take poetry as a profession, and that overlaps once again with moon, because moon is also related to emotions and poetry, because poetry is about touching the heart, emotions, and moon also has a part there. But then Venus also does have a part as far as poetry is concerned. So you have to see and combine all these factors. Acting, again, film stars. Venus is along with speaking skills, acting skills. But then you cannot just go ahead and recommend, in case the person, like I just mentioned, does not have the charismatic looks, or the personality. It doesn't have to be looks. At times, there are character artists who are not very good looking, but then they should have the personality as well, the confidence as well. So other planets also, other aspects also have to be taken into consideration, but Venus is, yes, directly related to the area of acting. So generally you would see in the charts of film stars, Venus is very, very prominent. But then once again, you could see a birth chart of a person with a prominent Venus, but he's not an actor, or if he's an actor, he's not very successful. Why? Then other factors, of course, have to be taken into consideration. So just don't jump to a conclusion. Be very careful. The responsibility of an astrologer is too much. One wrong analysis can ruin somebody else's life if you can give a wrong recommendations. Dancing skills directly related to Venus. There's no other overlapping with any other planet with dancing, because moon is not about dancing. Generally it is maybe a little about dancing, but generally a majority or the maximum effect of dancing comes through the prominence of Venus in somebody's birth chart. But then again, Venus could make him a good dancer, but he may not get into professional dancing. So you have to see the connection, whether it's an Atmakaraka, whether it's connected to his houses of profession or career, or how it is placed in the D10 chart, so on and so forth. But acting and dancing also is directly related to the planet Venus. Other fine arts also related to Venus, and very interestingly, business. Generally, business, the area of business is related to Venus, just like Mercury is. And if you refer to my earlier video on Mercury, Mercury is it's a Rajasic planet. It's about making money, and they can become great stock traders, any kind of traders, where they can make quick money, because Mercury is very fast moving. The quick money, it's a Rajasic planet. And just like Mercury, Venus in general also is related to business, and in specific terms related to business of, say for example, luxury items, like a luxury car, business of a luxury car, or perfumes. So that's the area, because Venus is about luxuries. And Venus is also a Rajasic planet. So Venus in general, signifies business. But then again, look at the other combinations, whether it's related to the area or the houses of businesses or not. Also, sometimes Venus can make good doctors. Now, why would you say? Why you would ask me? Why am I saying doctors? Because in certain areas of being in the profession of being a doctor or medicine, so as to say, there are areas like a sexologist, where the area, and Venus, as we know, is a sexual planet. It's about gynecologists and sexologists, and so those are the areas where people with a strong Venus, as long as it's connected with other areas where they have the ability to acquire higher education and acquire a doctorate in medicine or that specialty skills or a PhD. You have to see that. So a person with a strong Venus who does not have that ability to acquire those learning or the skills related to education cannot be recommended a profession which is related to a medicine expert or expert in the area of sexology, for example, or sex related diseases or diseases related to gynecology, so as to say. So you have to see whether that person has that ability. He can become a great dancer, a folk singer, and he may come from a village because of his great dancing and singing skills. So you cannot just tell him that, oh, you have a strong Venus, so go ahead and become a doctor in sexology, so as to say. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at. Writing skills also, again, there's an overlap here with the planet Mercury. Mercury is about writing, communication, but Venus also kind of overlaps into the profession of writing. So when it comes to the profession of writing, just like Mercury, he can also become a trader in books. Mercury, of course, is more prominent because it's directly related to writing, communication, but then Venus also has been given an area related to writing. They can become great writers with Venus, and then provided the other combinations are there, and then they're connected to the area of their houses of profession. And just like writing, they can become good traders related to books. So they could be in the area of publishing books or distributing books, so on and so forth. Also, some of the areas which overlap with Mercury could be also in the area of journalism. So you'll see a lot of people, a good successful journalists also, because they have communication skills just like Mercury does, and they have presentation skills very neatly, and which can draw. They have that magnetic appeal, because journalism is about where you can draw people to your writing or to your speaking, and along with speaking skills and communication skills, just like Mercury, they can draw and attract people. Venus is about attracting, so they can make great journalists, great writers, and people who can write columns in newspapers, so on and so forth. Also, along with that, they could get into the manufacture of musical instruments, or even distribution of musical instruments, because music, again, directly related to the planet Venus. So just like they can be good actors, they can be good players of musical instruments. That's also an area given to Venus. People who can be good guitarists and play any kind of instruments directly related to Venus. No other planet has been given that kind of a prominence as Venus when it comes to musical instruments and playing of music. Not just singing. Sometimes singing also, along with Mercury and along with Moon, that also overlaps here. But Venus, it's basically about attracting a crowd or attracting people. It's about magnetism, and that's what Venus excels in. So either it could be manufacturing musical instruments, or maybe a great musician, or he can be a good singer, which is related to music. But then once again, caution, look at the other planets and other areas, and also whether Venus is connected with the area of profession or not. He can be a great musician, or a great lover of music, or he can be a great singer, or he can be a great person which is associated with music but may not be a successful musician, because then again, if the houses of profession or career are not related to Venus, then there's a problem right there. So be very careful. Also, along with Mercury, sometimes good humor, although humor is completely an area of Mercury, but then along with Mercury, good humor. So some of the areas you could advise them to go into is to go in the area of comedy. But again, if they are related, if Venus is related to the house of profession, and if he has that personality to draw a crowd, again, it's because of the ability to draw the crowds, draw people, magnetize people, hypnotize people. That's the power of Venus. People want to be with Venus. People want luxuries. People want happiness. People want to be attracted to luxuries and good things and music and dance and all those things, especially in this day and age of Kali Yuga. Also Venus, like I mentioned, manufacture perfumes. Perfumes is one very, very great area. You can become a perfumer, a manufacturer, distributor of perfumes. That is directly connected to Venus. No other planet has been given that kind of a prominence with perfumes, just like Venus. But then you have to see whether he's good for a job or a business, and if he's good for a job, then of course he can go and work for a perfume company. He cannot start his own business. So be very careful what you're suggesting him, because he may just end up in a disaster if he starts a business, because if his area of business is not well developed, it's afflicted, and he has a strong Venus, and if you recommend go and start a business of perfumes, it could end up in a disaster. So be very careful whether he is suited for a job or a business. But then Venus directly related to perfumes could be manufacturing, then he has to have a good connection with the house of business, with the house of career, as far as starting a business or getting into an enterprise is concerned, whether he has the capability to start an enterprise, because business is about risk taking. Fashion, he could be a fashion designer. He could work for a fashion company if his house of profession is related to Venus, related to a job. But if it's related to a business, then he could be a fashion designer. He could become a successful brand name, as you see in today's day and age. Several names which have come up in the luxury world. Those names are not coming right now. There are a few Italian names, who have made a brand for themselves, in watches, in clothing, all that stuff. But then the house of business has to be related to the area of business, to the area of what is ruled by Venus. So Venus is about luxuries, and Venus is about business in general. But if the house of business is afflicted, of course he cannot be recommended to start a business. Of course, other areas has to be looked into, whether he has the capability, the courage to start their own enterprise, take risks, and what kind of dashas are running. All these things have to be taken. But yes, fashion designing, working for a fashion company is directly related to Venus, because it's about attraction, magnetic appeal. Also, since Venus is a karaka of water, it's a tattva, rather I would say. It's a jala tattva, as it's said in Sanskrit. Jala tattva. Tattva means element in Sanskrit. Element is actually tattva is a Sanskrit word for the word element, and jala means water. So if he's a water Venus is directly a water element, as described by the ancient sages in the Hindu scriptures. So because it's jala tattva, anything related to water, he could be a good swimmer. He could get into the distribution of water. He could manufacture water. He could be a good diver. And then, of course, a professional diver too. Join the Navy, or be a professional diver, because water and Venus are directly related, just like moon is directly related to water. So there's a slight overlap here. Both moon and Venus are directly jala tattvas, or water elements, directly related to water. So you can recommend people with a strong Venus, and whose Venus is connected to their house of careers and professions in these areas of water. Water sports, swimmers, divers, manufacture of water, distribution of water. Also, they could be good sailors as well. So sailing, again, moon is one very strong area, and moon has been given more prominence when it comes to the water element. But then Venus also, since it's a jala tattva as well, along with water, it's been given that kind of an area. Also, printing presses, because painting, they can become great painters. Venus, there's no other planet other than Venus which has been given the area of painting. Great painters, you will see, will have very, very strong Venus. They'll generally be, very attractive looking. They, in other terms, you may find great painters may not be good looking, but they have something in them which can attract people to themselves. They have something in them that their paintings can attract people. Painting is directly related to Venus. Like I said, no other planet overlaps in the area of painting. That's a area exclusively given to the planet Venus. So you see what kind of creative ability that person has, whether he has interest in painting, and if Venus is greatly placed in his houses of career, then, well, go ahead and recommend that area to him, so an astrologer, like I said, again, has a very responsible role to play. If he can make the right recommendation, it can change people's lives. And sometimes one of the areas is that they can become great hairstylists as well. Of course, hair is an area of Saturn, but Venus can be about hairstyling in terms of to be able to attract people to that. The great new haircuts which you see in today's day and age, it's all about fashion, it's all about luxury, it's all about attracting people, just like a fashion designer is. Fashion jewelry, all that area is given to Venus. So hopefully you enjoyed this video on the planet Venus and its related professions. And in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic on Vedic astrology very soon. Goodbye.